tonight. He concludes his Jammu and Kashmir visit, during which he unveiled development projects for Kashmir, extends a hand of friendship to Kashmir's youth. Vigilance Awareness Week to be observed starting today. The theme this year is Independent India at 75, Self-Reliance with Integrity. PM Modi says the country is moving forward with zero tolerance against corruption. Vigilance team of NCB to probe corruption allegations against its officer Sameer Wankhede based in the Mumbai drugs case. An eyewitness had levelled allegations on sworn affidavit. Bombay High Court to hear Aryan Khan's bail appeal in the drugs case. A major win for India and other developing countries ahead of COP26 in Glasgow. $100 billion aid target by rich countries can be met in 2023, announced the COP26 ministers. The climate finance is aimed at helping poorer countries fight climate change. Army takes reins of the government after deposing the interim government in Sudan. Sudan's interim government council head General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan addresses the nation after the coup. Soldiers arrest most of the members of Sudan's cabinet, even as opponents of the takeover took to the streets, where gunfire and injuries have been reported. In cricket, Afghanistan beat Scotland by a whopping 130 runs in the ICC Men's T20 World Cup. Pakistan to face New Zealand today. Defending champions West Indies to take on South Africa. And two more teams added to IPL. BCCI announces successful bidders. Lucknow franchisee goes to RPSG Ventures Limited for 7,090 crore rupees, while Arlia Company Private Limited wins Ahmedabad for 5,625 crore rupees. All right, let's begin with our top story. Let's take an update on the COVID-19 situation from across the country. The recovery of 15,951 patients in the last 24 hours has increased the cumulative tally of recovered patients to 3,35,83,318. Consequently, India's recovery rate stands at 98.19%. The recovery rate is currently at its highest peak since March 2020. 12,428 new cases were reported in the last 24 hours. The active caseload remains below the 2 lakh mark and is presently at 1,63,816, which is the lowest in 238 days. Active cases account for less than 1% of the total cases, presently constitute 0.48% of the country's total positive cases, which is the lowest since March 2020. The testing capacity across the country continues to be expanded. India has so far conducted over 60.19 crore cumulative tests. While testing capacity has been enhanced across the country, the weekly positivity rate at 1.24% remains less than 2% for the last 32 days. The daily positivity rate is reported to be 1.1%, and the daily positivity rate has remained below 2% for the last 22 days. Well, India's COVID-19 vaccination coverage has crossed 102.94 crore. Cumulatively, 102 crore 94 lakh 1,119 beneficiaries have been vaccinated so far under India's largest vaccination program. More than 64 lakh 75,000 vaccine doses have been administered till 7 p.m. on Monday. More than 107.22 crore vaccine doses were provided to states and UTs. More than 12.37 crore balance and unutilized vaccine doses are still available with the states and UTs. All right, moving on, Home Minister Amit Shah paid his tribute to martyrs at the Pulwama War Memorial this morning. He paid tributes to the 40 CRPF Jawans who were martyred in 2019 Pulwama terror attack. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha was also present on the occasion. He laid a wreath at the memorial, paying tribute to the martyrs of the 2019 Pulwama terror attack. Home Minister Amit Shah also planted a sapling in Pulwama. Home Minister Amit Shah stayed at the CRPF camp at Letpora in Pulwama last night. He spent the night with Jawans and understood their problems. The Home Minister expressed his gratitude to the CRPF and other security forces for ensuring that there was no bloodshed after Article 370 was revoked in August 2019. Union Home Minister Amit Shah made a bold statement in Srinagar on the final day of his 3-day visit to Jammu and Kashmir. He had the bulletproof glass shield removed from the podium before addressing a gathering where he reached out the hand of friendship to Kashmir's youth. Amit Shah also took a pot shot at the National Conference veteran Dr. Farooq Abdullah for advocating dialogue with Pakistan and said that he would instead talk to Kashmiri people.
Reflecting the wave of peace and prosperity sweeping across the Kashmir Valley, Home Minister Amit Shah made a bold statement on Monday by getting the bulletproof glass shield removed from the podium before taking to it to address Kashmiris in Srinagar. On the final day of his 3-day visit to Jammu and Kashmir, the HM unveiled a huge hamper of gifts for the region. Addressing the gathering, Amit Shah said the people of Kashmir have suffered a lot. Reaching out to the youth, the minister appealed to all to banish fear from their hearts.
मैं विकास की बात बाद में करूंगा, मगर एक विश्वास आपको दिलाना चाहता हूं। दिल में से खौफ निकाल दीजिए, डर निकाल दीजिए। कश्मीर की शांति और विकास की यात्रा को कोई खलल नहीं पहुंचा सकता। आप भारत सरकार पर भरोसा कर सकते हैं, हम पर भरोसा करें।
The Home Minister said that the PM holds Kashmir very close to his heart. His government is taking all steps to ensure that all Kashmiris are assured the right to equality. He took on former Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister and NC leader Farooq Abdullah for suggesting dialogue with Pakistan. Amit Shah said he'd rather talk to the people of the valley and its youth.
आपके साथ मन खोलकर बात करना चाहता हूं, इसीलिए ना बुलेट प्रूफ है, ना कोई सिक्योरिटी है, मैं आपके सामने ऐसे ही खड़ा हूं। मित्रों, आज ही मैंने अखबार में देखा, फारूक साहब ने मुझे सलाह दी है कि भारत सरकार पाकिस्तान से बातचीत करे। अब खैर बड़े अनुभवी व्यक्ति है, मुख्यमंत्री रहे सूबे के, उनकी सलाह है, मगर मैं फारूक साहब को कहना चाहता हूं और आप सबको विशेष करना चाहता हूं, बात करनी है तो मैं मेरे घाटी के भाइयों और बहनों के साथ बात करूंगा, घाटी के युवाओं के साथ।
The Home Minister's gift hamper included development projects including a medical college in Handwara and 295 kilometers of road projects. Land allotment for JSW Group's 150 crore rupees color-coded steel unit in Pulwama. Appointment letters to nearly 3,000 youth including Hindu migrants under a rehabilitation scheme. 2-wheeler keys to skill development related Mumkin scheme recipients and certificates for women entrepreneurs under the Tejaswini scheme. Certificates to nomadic community beneficiaries under Forest Rights Act and certificates for women dairy farmers. He also gave certificates to Aadhaar-enabled payment systems beneficiaries to further financial inclusion in Jammu and Kashmir.
आतंकवाद के प्रति इसके विरोध में नरेंद्र मोदी सरकार की जीरो टॉलरेंस की नीति है, हम इसको सहन ही नहीं कर सकते। ये मानवता के खिलाफ, और जो लोग इस गतिविधि में लिप्त हैं वो जघन्य कृत्य कर रहे हैं, और उससे आम जनता को बचाना, कश्मीर को बचाना और उनको सुरक्षित रखना हमारी प्राथमिकता होनी चाहिए, हमारी प्रायोरिटी होनी चाहिए।
The Home Minister also countered all talk of people losing their land in the valley after the abrogation of Article 370. He charged the people raising such doubts of attempting to hold back development to preserve their own stranglehold over power in Kashmir to perpetuate their corruption of 70 years. He said a large number of people have jobs in the valley. Prior to his address, the Home Minister prayed at the Kheer Bhavani temple in Gandarbar district clad in a traditional Kashmiri firan. Later in the evening, the Home Minister was also treated to the unparalleled beauty and sight of a cultural performance on festively lit up shikaras on a glimmering Dal Lake. With Rama Tyagi and Salman Qazi in Srinagar, DD India.
Well, with that, we're slipping into a short break, but news and updates continue on the other side. Stay tuned.
As the day unfolds and news and events take shape, we get you complete coverage of every news breaking in, tracking new developments as they happen. Midday Prime English, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. on DD India.
Welcome back to News on the Hour. The Vigilance Awareness Week is being observed. The theme for the current year is Independent India at 75, Self-Reliance with Integrity. The Central Vigilance Commissioner, Suresh N. Patel, in his message on the occasion said, self-reliance and integrity are the two ideals which need focus as they are important for achieving all-round progress and development of the country. During the Vigilance Awareness Week, there is an opportunity for all to reaffirm ourselves towards our collective duty and responsibility to ensure transparency and integrity in the system and procedures. This year, a special initiative has been taken to create awareness for the complaint mechanism available under the Public Interest Disclosure and Protection of Informers Resolution. During the current year, all the organizations have also been requested to focus on improvements in internal processes and other housekeeping activities. The Commission appeals to all the citizens of the country to come forward during the 75th year of independence and support the drive to achieve self-reliance with integrity. On Vigilance Awareness Week, President Ramnath Kovind in his message to the nation has said, and I quote, "As a nation, we've had a long and well-established tradition of integrity and ethics. It is our responsibility as citizens to reaffirm these ideals as we strive towards national development and self-reliance. It is the duty of all citizens to be vigilant and combat corruption in every sphere of life." President Kovind has expressed happiness to see that the CVC is taking the necessary steps to bring the citizens together to strengthen our commitment towards progress and self-reliance while remaining rooted in our ideals. The President has extended greetings to all those associated with the organization of the Vigilance Awareness Week at the Central Vigilance Commission and has wished the campaign every success. Meanwhile, Vice President Venkaiah Naidu has also given a message to the nation. He said, and I quote, "A self-reliant India is a dream for all her citizens, and such a dream can only be fulfilled with the participation of all. I have faith that everyone would adopt integrity and ethics in their daily life as we move in our journey towards self-reliance." The Vice President has expressed hope to see all citizens and stakeholders collectively participate in large numbers in the fight against corruption. Vice President added that we need to come together to reiterate the ideals of integrity, transparency and accountability and strive towards embracing the values that have guided us in our journey so far. The Vice President has commended the Central Vigilance Commission for their efforts in combating corruption, and he has also conveyed his best wishes for the success of the Vigilance Awareness Week. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also gave a message to the nation on the Vigilance Awareness Week 2021. He said, and I quote, "I'm happy to know about the Vigilance Awareness Week being organized by the Central Vigilance Commission from the 26th of October till 1st of November. People's hard work, awareness and sense of responsibility play an important role in India's development journey. Today, India is making big resolutions and also achieving them. India has gained a new confidence on the world stage with people's participation and collectivism. The selection of Independent India at 75, Self-Reliance with Integrity as the theme of the Vigilance Awareness Week by the Commission is commendable. India is moving ahead on zero tolerance against corruption since 7 years with Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, Sabka Prayas mantra." And the Prime Minister today said that with the blessings of the people, Bharatiya Janata Party has got the opportunity to serve across several states and at the centre. He said a reason behind this trust of people is the stellar role played by generations of Karyakartas who have devoted their lives to the party and nation building. PM Modi further stated that Namo app has a very interesting section known as the Kamal Pushp that gives an e-opportunity to share and know about inspiring BJP Karyakartas from the Janasangh days till the present day who toiled to popularize party's ideology. He urged BJP workers to contribute and enrich this section. The Bharatiya Janata Party has embarked upon an exercise to document the contribution of Janasangh and BJP activists in the incidents that shaped India's destiny. The initiative Kamal Pushp seeks to highlight their stories of selfless sacrifice without seeking any limelight. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has asked people through the Namo app to share such stories by way of website or video links, old newspaper cuttings, old photographs, or by penning their contribution and uploading it on the app. The Namo app has documented contributions made by Mallikarjunai, Devendra Shastri, Amar Shahid Babu, Hit Abhilashi, Chaman Lal Gupta, who helped build the Janasangh in Karnataka, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab and Jammu and Kashmir respectively. Well, the Prime Minister also tweeted about Pandit Devendra Shastri, a freedom fighter from Uttarakhand. He said Shastri ji was a beacon of principled politics all his life. He also shared the link to know more about the selfless Karyakarta on Kamal Pushp module of Namo app. Well, the Prime Minister also shared information about Mallikarjunai, who toiled all his life through selfless hard work to popularize BJP in Karnataka. PM Modi asked people to know more about this inspiring BJP worker on the Kamal Pushp module of the Namo app. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will attend the 18th Asean-India Summit to be held virtually on October 28th at the invitation of the Sultan of Brunei. The summit will be attended by heads of states and government of the ASEAN countries. The 18th ASEAN-India Summit will review the status of ASEAN-India strategic partnership and take stock of the progress that has been made in key areas including COVID-19 and health, trade and commerce, connectivity and education and culture. The important regional and international developments, including post-pandemic economic recovery, will also be discussed. The Prime Minister will also attend the 16th East Asia Summit to be held on October 27th virtually. The summit is the premier leaders-led forum in the Indo-Pacific. At the 16th East Asia Summit, leaders will discuss matters of regional and international interest and concern, including maritime security and terrorism. Leaders are also expected to accept declarations on mental health, economic recovery through tourism, and green recovery, which are being co-sponsored by India. Minister of State for External Affairs V. Muralidharan would be leading the Indian delegation to the 6th ministerial consultations of the Abu Dhabi Dialogue, or ADD, which is to be held in Dubai today and tomorrow. The Abu Dhabi Dialogue is a regional, voluntary and non-binding consultative process between Asian countries of labour origin and destination, which serves as a platform to facilitate regional cooperation on contractual labour mobility, sharing of best experiences and learning from one another's experience. During the visit, the MOS will have bilateral meetings with other ministers. He will also visit Dubai Expo 2020. Well, with that, we're going in for another break, but news and updates continue on TD India. Stay tuned.
As the day unfolds and news and events take shape, we get you complete coverage of every news breaking in, tracking new developments as they happen. Midday Prime English, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. on TD India.
Welcome back. The Bombay High Court will hear the bail plea of Aryan Khan and others in the cruise drugs case today. The special court had rejected their bail plea last week. In the meantime, the NCB has ordered vigilance inquiry against its zonal director Sameer Wankhede, who has been leading the probe into the case based on a sworn affidavit submitted by an eyewitness who has alleged corruption.
High Court will hear Aryan Khan's bail plea in the cruise drug case on Tuesday. Aryan Khan was denied bail by the special NDPS court last week. Apart from Aryan Khan, the court will also hear the pleas of Munmun Dhanecha and Arbaz Merchant in the case. In the meantime, a special court refused to pass any order on the plea of Narcotics Control Bureau and its zonal director Sameer Wankhede, in which he has appealed not to take cognizance of the statement of a witness related to the case. The court said that the matter is sub judice in the Bombay High Court and no order can be passed at this stage. Earlier, Sameer Wankhede had filed an affidavit in the court saying that the investigation in this case was being sabotaged and threats were being given to him and his family members. Wankhede has also said that he was ready for any kind of investigation, but he was being pressurized by some people. In a new twist of the case, NCB has ordered vigilance inquiry against Samir Wankhede after extortion allegation was made against him.
एक स्वतंत्र गवाह ने एफिडेविट के माध्यम से सोशल मीडिया पर कुछ तथ्यों को सर्कुलेट किया था। उसका संज्ञान लेते हुए हमारे महानिदेशक स्वापक नियंत्रण ब्यूरो ने विजिलेंस को इंक्वायरी मांग की है। आरोपों के संबंध में मैं सिर्फ इतना अभी आपको मैंने बताया है कि एक इंक्वायरी ऑर्डर हो गई है और हम बहुत ही ओपन और ट्रांसपेरेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है। चाहे इन्वेस्टिगेशन हो चाहे इंक्वायरी हो, हम लोग इसको प्रोफेशनली हैंडल करेंगे and we'll ensure that it culminates.
Meanwhile, Bollywood actress Ananya Pandey did not appear before NCB on Monday. Ananya was summoned by the agency for questioning on the third day. The hearing on the bail plea of the party organizers arrested by the agency will also come up before NTPS court on Tuesday. With Yogesh Kumar Sheetal in Mumbai, Bureau Report, DD India.
In other news, Union Minister for Road Transport and Highways Nitin Gadkari has said that conversion of knowledge into wealth is future. He launched the knowledge app and platform Consult. The Union Minister emphasized on innovation, entrepreneurship, science, technology, research and skill for knowledge transformation. He said that knowledge is changing the world and cooperation, coordination and communication is very important in the administration and business organizations. The minister also stressed upon the importance of human relationships and said that no one is perfect and one should take advice, consult and learn from experiences of others.
No one is perfect and no one can claim that he is perfect. उत्तम, अधिक उत्तम, सर्वोत्तम up to infinity. तो हमें हमारे में से कोई बेस नहीं है। ये अगर हमको भी कुछ कमियां हैं और हमने दूसरे से कुछ पूछना चाहिए, ये जो भाव है बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है और इससे काफी जानकारी मिलती है। ये जो कंसल्ट, ये जो फिलॉसफी है, ये ऐसे जो कहीं ना कहीं भटक रहे हैं, जब कोई कॉल करेंगे तो कोई अच्छा एडवाइस मिलेगा तो वो लोगों को सही दिशा मिलेगी, क्योंकि ये नॉलेज ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन है। तो बहुत अच्छा काम आपने किया है।
Well, Amitabh Kant of the Niti Aayog, Secretary INB Apurva Chandra and former Secretary Raghav Chandra were also present on the occasion. Let's listen in to what Amitabh Kant said on Consult.
एक टेक्नोलॉजी प्रोडक्ट पर आप जाइए, अपना नाम दीजिए, अपना ये कीजिए और एक्सपर्ट को सिलेक्ट कीजिए और आपको सारी एक्सपर्टीज, सारे एरियाज की एक्सपर्टीज इन्होंने एक ऐप पर दिलवा दी है। और ये बहुत ही यूनिक चीज है, बहुत यूनिक चीज है, क्योंकि मैंने देखा, मैंने ट्राई कंपेयर करने की कोशिश की, कंसल्ट जैसा कोई और ऐप है ही नहीं। आगे चल के हम लोग नीति आयोग में भी इनके ऐप को उपयोग करेंगे।
All right, let's shift our focus to international news now. Developed countries have said that they remain steadfast in continued commitment to meet the annual $100 billion goal as soon as possible and through 2025. In this regard, developed countries, co-led by Canada's Minister of Environment and Climate Change, Jonathan Wilkinson, and Germany's State Secretary at the Ministry for Environment, Nature Conservation and Nuclear Safety, Jochen Flassbarth, have prepared a forward-looking delivery plan on the goal through to 2025. Based on the analysis from the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development of recent climate finance, pledges and historical levels of climate finance, the outlook to 2025 shows a positive trend, with developed countries making significant progress towards the $100 billion goal in 2022 and provides confidence that it would be met in 2023. Now, the ministers have said in their paper, Climate Finance Delivery Plan, meeting the $100 billion goal, that the delivery plan reflects these collective efforts. Through it, we demonstrate progress made to date, outline our expectation that developed countries will make significant progress towards the $100 billion goal in 2022 and express confidence that it would be met in 2023. The data also gives us confidence that we will likely be able to mobilize more than $100 billion per year thereafter. This projection is based on pledges made by developed countries as of 20th October 2021. In Sudan, the ruling council head Abdel Fattah al-Burhan announced a state of emergency across the country and the dissolution of the Transitional Sovereign Council in the government. Soldiers arrested most of the members of Sudan's cabinet and a military officer dissolved the transitional government, while opponents of the takeover took to the streets where gunfire and injuries were reported. Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok was detained and moved to an undisclosed location after refusing to issue a statement in support of the coup. Now, tens of thousands of people opposed to the takeover had taken to the streets and had faced gunfire near the military's headquarters in the capital, Khartoum. In a televised speech, Burhan said that infighting between politicians and ambition and incitement to violence forced the military to act. People were chanting slogans and burning tires on streets. And a further update on the situation from Sudan. At least 7 people have been killed and 140 others were injured after soldiers fired on crowds opposing a military takeover in the country. Protesters took to the streets after the armed forces dissolved civilian rule, arrested political leaders and called a state of emergency on Monday. Now, the coup has been condemned around the world. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called for the immediate release of Sudan's Prime Minister and all other officials. Condemning the ongoing coup in Sudan, Guterres said Prime Minister Hamdok and all other officials must be released immediately. He said the UN will continue to stand with the people of Sudan.
Condemns the ongoing military coup d'etat in Khartoum and all actions that could jeopardize Sudan's political transition and stability. The Secretary General calls for the immediate reconstitution of the governing arrangements provided under the constitutional document. The unlawful detention of the Prime Minister, government officials and politicians is unacceptable and contravenes the constitutional document and the partnership critical for the success of Sudan's transition. The Secretary General calls on the immediate release of the Prime Minister and all others who have been detained immediately. Sudanese stakeholders must immediately return to dialogue and engage in good faith to restore the constitutional order and Sudan's transitional process. The United Nations reiterates its unwavering commitment and support to the realization of Sudan's political transition. Any attempt to undermine the transition process puts at risk Sudan's security, stability, and development. The United Nations will continue to stand with the people of Sudan as they strive to fulfill their aspirations for a peaceful, prosperous, and democratic future.
Meanwhile, world leaders have reacted with alarm at the news of the military takeover. The US has joined UK, EU, UN and African Union, of which Sudan is a member, in demanding the release of political leaders who are now under house arrest in unknown locations. The Biden administration has meanwhile suspended $700 million in aid to Sudan. The State Department said that the full amount of the aid package has been put on pause pending a review of the developments in Khartoum. The suspended aid was direct financial support intended to help the country transition to a fully civilian government. The price said that additional US aid to the country could also be at risk, along with the broader relationship.
Officials should immediately release and ensure the safety of all detained political actors, fully restore the civilian-led transitional government, and refrain from any violence against protesters, including the use of live ammunition. Any change to the transitional government by force risks assistance in our bilateral relationship more broadly. In light of these developments, the United States is pausing assistance from the $700 million in emergency assistance appropriations of economic support funds for Sudan. Those funds were intended to support the country's democratic transition as we evaluate the next step for Sudan programming.
Britain has meanwhile said that the military coup in Sudan was an unacceptable betrayal of the Sudanese people and called on security forces there to release the country's Prime Minister, Abdullah Hamdok. Speaking in Parliament, Britain's Africa Minister Vicky Ford said that the actions of the Sudanese military were wholly unacceptable and a betrayal of the Sudanese people and their journey to democracy.
The UK most strongly condemns the arrests of civilian members of Sudan's transitional government by the military. We are also deeply concerned by reports of shooting of protesters. This must stop. The acts of the military today represent an unacceptable betrayal of the Sudanese people and their journey to democracy.
Well, United States said on Monday that it has supported the European Union's engagement with Iran as the coordinator of the lapsed 2015 Iran nuclear deal. But at the same time, US also stressed that the ultimate destination to try to revive the accord was to resume talks in Vienna. The European Union's top negotiator will meet his counterpart from Tehran this week in Brussels for talks on restarting negotiations over Iran's nuclear deal. While the European Union acts as coordinator for the deal, which also involves Britain, France, Germany, China and Russia, the move is likely to help Iran refine its knowledge of the enrichment process, but it will not immediately accelerate Iran's production of uranium enriched to close the weapons grade. Political tension grows in Cuba as the Cuban president Miguel Diaz-Canel has warned U.S. Embassy in Havana against fomenting protests by dissidents on the communist-run island. The warning came as the latest flashpoint between the longtime rivals ahead of fresh rallies slated for 15th November. Cuba has said that the planned demonstrations are illegal and blamed United States for underwriting them. While United States has threatened Cuba with further sanctions if government jails protesters, the U.S. Embassy in recent weeks has highlighted the cases on social media of several Cubans detained and jailed following the biggest anti-government protest on July 11th. In defense, Cuban authorities have said that those arrested were guilty of crimes. Moving on, after 4 continuous years of extension, Egypt President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi on Monday announced the termination of a nationwide state emergency. Egypt imposed a state of emergency in April 2017 after deadly bombings of churches and has since routinely extended it at 3-month intervals despite an improved security situation. Now, the state of emergency granted authorities sweeping powers to make arrests and crack down on what they call enemies of the state. Prominent Egyptian activist Hossam Bahgat welcomed the decision, saying it would stop the use of emergency state security courts, although it would not apply to some high-profile cases already referred to such courts. In Nigeria, at least 18 worshippers were killed by gunmen who attacked a mosque in Niger State during early morning prayers on Monday. The attack took place in Mazakuka village in Mashegu local government area of the Niger State. The attackers also abducted around a dozen worshippers before escaping from the area. Niger Police Commissioner has said that the attack was related to the conflict between the villagers and the Fulani herders. A week ago in the northwest Sokoto state, assailants attacked a rural area, killing at least 40 people and displacing many more. Well, it's time for another break on News on the Hour, but news and updates continue on the other side. Stay tuned.
Namaste India.
Namaste land.
Marhaban ila al-Hind.
Zari India.
Hindu ni hao.
Salam India. Namaste India.
Namaskar Bharata.
Muy
India.
Nahnu hunud. India. Ma Hindi hasti. Hindian. Salam Hindustan.
We are India.
your window to rising India. India's voice on global platforms. Latest news from India and around the world. In-depth analysis of global headlines. Watch DD India in your country. Available for downlink in all Southeast Asian countries. STTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 17 at 93.5 degrees east. HDTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 10 at 83 degrees east. For technical details, scan here. Switch to DD India now.
Welcome back to News on the Hour. Some international news now. The European Union's drug regulator on Monday said that a booster dose of Moderna's coronavirus vaccine may be considered in people aged 18 years and above, at least 6 months after the second dose. In a statement, the European Medicines Agency cited data showing that boosters given to people 6 to 8 months after their second dose led to an increase in antibody levels in adults whose levels were going down. Earlier this month, the EMA said that booster doses of the COVID-19 vaccine made by Pfizer-BioNTech could also be considered. While this is the second COVID-19 booster vaccine to be approved in the European Union, the European Medicines Agency said that the risk of inflammatory heart conditions or other rare side effects after the booster is also being monitored. Millions of students are back to class in Venezuela after a long closure due to the coronavirus pandemic. Children dressed in uniforms of wearing face masks filed into schools in the capital Caracas, abiding the new normal. Venezuela on Monday reopened its public schools and universities, which serve more than 11 million students. President Nicolas Maduro's government had delayed the restart of in-person classes several times amid new peaks in infection and vaccination delays. Now, according to the government, around 8.7 million children would return to classrooms across the country, while some 3.1 million students would attend universities. The government said that 56% of the population have been vaccinated till now. However, those aged 12 and above in Venezuela are now eligible for their first dose of coronavirus vaccine. And about New York, hundreds of New York City municipal employees marched across the Brooklyn Bridge against the COVID vaccine mandate that is set to go into effect on October 29th. The demonstrators included city workers, police officers, firefighters, sanitation workers, paramedics, and public school teachers. Holding signs that read "My body, my choice" and chanting "No vaccine mandate," the crowd marched from downtown Brooklyn to City Hall in Manhattan. This came in as the New York mayor ordered all city employees to show vaccination proof or be placed on unpaid leave. Now, setting a deadline of 5 p.m. till 29th October, the mayor also offered a $500 incentive to get vaccinated. While protesters vowed to defy the mandate, several unions are also demanding back pay for workers who already have got vaccinated without bonus. Well, quite a bizarre situation there in the United States where people are opposing vaccination, especially the groups that actually include paramedics as well. All right, with that, let's get you a quick update on the COVID-19 numbers from across the globe. So far, more than 24 crore 48 lakh people have contracted COVID-19, while the number of recoveries stand above 22 crore 19 lakh globally. The virus has claimed over 49 lakh 70,000 lives worldwide. US, meanwhile, continues to remain the worst affected with the disease, where the number of cases have crossed 4 crore 64 lakh, while the death toll remains above 7 lakh 57,000. Moving on, in a dramatic development, the volcano became more active again on the Spanish island of La Palma as the main cone of the Cumbre Vieja volcano has partially collapsed, creating a new river of lava. The collapse has led to a large flow of lava gushing from the volcano early on Monday. Speaking on this, volcanologist Itahiza Dominguez said that these are the moments of similar activities as it was at the beginning of the eruption. Although it is early to know whether it would affect new areas, The volcanologist further added that there is still no data to indicate if it is decreasing.
We are now seeing moments of activity similar to those we had at the beginning of the eruption, with drastic increases in the emission of material, and we will have to see how it evolves. There is still a lot of seismic activity, and even if it stops, the eruption could continue. We already experienced this on the island of El Hierro 10 years ago, an eruption that lasted almost 5 months. So it is still too early to really know how long it could last. The duration we already know is being maintained. We will have to see if it lasts for a week or rather months.
Now, La Palma's Cumbre Vieja volcano continued to spew lava and ash a day after a portion of its main cone collapsed. Residents of the island have weathered continuous volcanic and seismic activity since the eruption on September 19th. More than 7,000 people have had to evacuate their homes so far, while lava from the volcano has covered nearly 900 hectares of land, destroying 2,000 buildings and many banana plantations since its eruption began. From Spain, let's move to Italy. For the second day in a row, fierce storms ravaged southern Italy on Monday, killing at least one person while triggering landslides and leaving roads and fields flooded. According to the emergency services, the body of a 67-year-old man was recovered after his car got hit by rising waters and mud. The Italian weather site said that parts of Sicily and Calabria were slammed by a rare Mediterranean hurricane known as Medicane, with winds of up to 120 kilometers per hour. The strong hurricane prompted schools to be closed in a number of towns and cities, while dozens of flights were diverted from the area, with ferry links between the southern islands forced to be cancelled. A powerful storm, also referred to as a bomb cyclone, an atmospheric river, has hit Northern California over the weekend, leaving behind massive destruction. Authorities are inspecting damage from the storm that triggered heavy rain, flooding, mudslides, and power outages. According to the National Weather Service in US, at least 13 inches of rainfall dropped in some counties, while some witnessed as much as 8 inches of rain. In addition to being disruptive, the torrential rainfall was nothing short of record-breaking. All right, some news from the finance world now. Domestic equity market benchmarks, Indian equity, Sensex and Nifty started today's session on a positive note, tracking gains across global markets. Gains across most sectors led by IT and PSU banking stocks pushed the market higher. BSE Sensex was hovering above 61,300 mark and Nifty was ruling above 18,200. Broader markets boosted investors' morale as the mid-cap and small-cap gauges also rose 0.5% and 0.9% in early deals respectively. Meanwhile, Asian stocks inched higher on Tuesday as an upbeat Wall Street earnings lifted the broader economic outlook, though fresh worries about China's property sector hit Hong Kong and mainland markets. Japan's benchmark Nikkei average opened up 1.14%, while Australia's S&P 200 was 0.2%. MSCI's gauge of Asia-Pacific stocks outside Japan rose 0.23%. Hang Seng Index and China's benchmark CSI 300 index opened higher but fell into negative territory, weighed by property stocks. And US stocks marched upward on Monday as the Dow Industrials and S&P 500 closed at record highs. The earnings season kicked into high gear in one of the heaviest reporting weeks of the quarter in multiple sectors. Stocks flitted between small gains and losses in early trading but then turned decisively higher. While the Dow Jones and S&P hit new highs, the Nasdaq outperformed on the day, buoyed by gains in Tesla and PayPal, and the tech-heavy index stood less than 1% away from a record. Well, meanwhile, oil prices fell after a sustained rally due to strong demand in United States. Brent crude fell 0.2% to 85.79 US dollars a barrel, and US oil was down by 0.3% at 83.55 US dollars a barrel. Gasoline and distillate consumption is back in line with 5-year averages in United States, the world's biggest consumer of oil and its products, after more than a year of depressed demand. And shifting focus to sports now, in the T20 Cricket World Cup, Afghanistan won by 130 runs against Scotland at the Sharjah Cricket Stadium. Chasing a victory target of 191 runs, Scotland got all out on 60 in 10.2 overs against Afghanistan. Opting to bat first after winning the toss, Afghanistan posted a score of 190 runs for 4 wickets with the help of Najibullah Zadran's 59 and Rahmanullah Gurbaz's 46 runs. For Scotland, Safian Sharif picked up 2 wickets. The Afghan cricket team is playing their first match of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup. Now, Scotland qualified for the Super 12 stage after finishing atop their qualification group stage table, winning all 3 of their matches along the way. Now, what's slated today? Well, South Africa will face the West Indies team in Dubai in the first match of the ICC T20 World Cup. South Africa have lost to Australia in their first match. On the other hand, the West Indies team has suffered a crushing defeat in their first match against England. In such a scenario, both the teams will be vying for victory. A total of 15 matches have been played between the teams of South Africa and West Indies in T20 internationals, in which the Proteas have won 9. Now, on the other hand, the second match, New Zealand will face Pakistan in Sharjah in the second match of the day. Remember, Pakistan defeated India by 10 wickets in their first match. Pakistani team looked better in both the bowling and batting fields in the first match. In T20 International, the teams of Pakistan and New Zealand have faced each other 24 times, out of which Pakistan has won 14 times. And more news from Indian Premier League. 2 more teams have been added to the IPL 2022. Apart from 8 teams, 2 new teams are Lucknow and Ahmedabad. In the auction, BCCI has announced successful bidders. Lucknow franchisee went to RPSG Ventures Limited for 7,090 crore rupees, while Irelia Company Private Limited won Ahmedabad for 5,625 crore rupees. Well, with that, it's a wrap right now in News on the Hour, but news and updates continue on DD India. Stay tuned. Thank you for joining us right now. Bye-bye.